Is it going to be coming? What do I mean by that? Did you know that last year in 2025, Jasmy, they actually filed for the JPYD trademark at the patent office in Japan? What could this all mean when it comes to Jasmy? Well, it could very well mean that they might be thinking about a stablecoin. Now, I'll get into this in today's video, even though nothing I say is financial advice and even though I am not telling anyone to anything. Now, again, they filed for that trademark last year, again, JPYD, but there's nothing as of right now. At least when it comes to updates, there's kind of nothing actually. But I think if anything, this could mean that they're working on it because they wouldn't file the trademark like that just for fun, in my opinion. Now, some people out there, they may do it to try to protect what they want to build moving forward. But again, if anything, this might showcase that they are probably building on it or having a strong thought about JPYD. What could that be? JPYD is allegedly this Japanese yen stablecoin. So that would be pretty cool when it comes to Jasmy. If they could do that, it'd be really fantastic because we do know that Jasmy already has, as a project, right, legal compliance in the country of Japan. So that's really fantastic. And also, if we take a look at Jasmy, there's the Jasmy chain. We also take a look at Junction, which is an incubation project under Jasmy that's focused on AI. And then also on top of that, we do know that Jasmy historically is focused on data storage. So if they do launch JPYD, whenever that could be, that would, I think, mark another wrinkle when it comes to Jasmy. What I mean by that is that it gives Jasmy another aspect and another avenue to hypothetical success because data storage, that's their bread and butter. We already know that Jasmy is really focused on that. We also take a look at through Junction, it's focused on AI, right? But then we also take a look at JPYD. Through that, they're going to be focused on the stablecoin market, which granted, people like to say, well, there's too many stablecoins out there. But this one, because it's not US dollars, it's actually yen, like the Japanese yen, it's just a little bit different, right? Had Jasmy been looking for a US dollar stablecoin, maybe, it might be a little bit too much oversaturation, but because this is a planned Japanese yen stablecoin, it's just a little bit different. So these are the things that Jasmy are doing. People think, oh, they're doing nothing behind the scenes because they don't update that much. Well, I mean, supposedly they are doing something, and they were kind of quiet about that, right? We don't really hear Jasmy talking too much about JPYD. But again, that apparently happened last year in a sense where they filed for the trademark in the patent office in Japan. So that is really interesting in my opinion. And I think, again, it showcases that Jasmy, even as developed as it is right now, it's still looking for other ways to actual success. Now, when exactly could that launch? Who knows at this point? I'm not a part of their team. I have no idea what they're doing internally behind the scenes. But one thing I do know, though, is that, again, they filed for it last year, the trademark. So I'm assuming that sometimes these things could take maybe a year or 2 years. So if it's this year, wouldn't surprise me. If it's maybe next year, wouldn't surprise me either. But at the same time, they're not really in a hurry, right? It's not like there's this massive demand for something like JPYD right now. They could take their time. They could take their time to make it better instead of having the kind of mindset of they need to rush it. Instead, they could just try to make it better and actually launch a better product as opposed to, trying to launch something and it not being that good. So again, when it comes to Jasmy, we don't really know exactly when they're going to launch it. But if it's this year, I mean, I wouldn't complain. If it's next year, I wouldn't complain either. But long story short, I think it would be a big victory actually when it comes to Jasmy because they didn't have to do this. Keep in mind, like, it's not that so many people out there are demanding for something like that. But at the same time, it's kind of like the thought that counts. A project that keeps developing and tries to grow fundamentally, that I prefer over a project that is actually being lazy and not doing anything. It's like, for instance, if we take a look at Mr. Beast, I saw on an interview, he said that whatever he makes, he puts it back in to make better videos. So that's really awesome, right? He's putting stuff back into his actual business and his actual content. Other content creators out there, what I see is that if they make something, what they do is that they get like a nice car, or let's say they try to buy a really fancy watch or something like that, whatever the case may be. They don't try to put it back into the engine, if that makes sense. They don't put it back into the business. In some cases, that's what I see. And again, when it comes to Jasmy, it has that effect where it feels like to me they're putting it back in because they could have easily not cared about Jiangshin, they could have easily not cared about Jasmy Chain, they easily could have not cared about JPYD and just been like, oh, who cares? Let's just keep Jasmy as this project that is focused on data storage and that's it. They could have easily done that, but they didn't do that, right? They actually are looking for ways to improve. So I do like seeing that. Now, granted, if we take a look at Jasmy, in the past month, down almost 8%. So yeah, not the good thing that we want to see actually, but there's a big question as of right now that people have been wondering. Why is Bitcoin down? Now, I've explained this before, but that was for a different video topic, but in case someone wants to hear this, so MicroStrategy, they sold a couple $1,000,000 worth of Bitcoin. Now people like to say, well, like, why is that a big deal? Well, it's because MicroStrategy holds many billions of dollars worth when it comes to Bitcoin. And Michael Saylor, he's of course very vocal when it comes to Bitcoin. And in some cases, we kind of get this vibe where he doesn't really want to sell. So if we see something like MicroStrategy sell a couple $1,000,000 worth of Bitcoin, it seems counterintuitive. It seems like it's going back on the core principles of Michael Saylor. So then, of course, naturally, a lot of people are like, whoa, MicroStrategy, they hold so much Bitcoin. If they're selling a couple $1,000,000 worth, what's going to happen? And then suddenly, because of that, some people are just exiting. They're kind of overreacting in some cases. In which case, if we take a look at it, this is the first time MicroStrategy has sold Bitcoin in years. So they haven't done it for quite a while now, but again, they have done it recently. But if we think about it again, logically speaking, if they're holding many billions of dollars worth, a couple million is not really anything significant. It's kind of negligible in the grand scheme of things. It's kind of like, putting, I guess, a drop in a swimming pool. Like, it's just like a drop in the swimming pool, or drop in the ocean, or whatever. It's not such a big deal, in my opinion. But of course, when it comes to this space, stuff like this does matter a lot in the short term. But if we think about it like a month later, 2 months later, I think a lot of people would forget. Like, for instance, a lot of people as of right now are big fans of Luna Classic, right? In a sense where if you ask people back then about Luna Classic, but then before it didn't have the classic name, but I'm just saying, if you ask people back then about Luna, they would say, wow, it's game over, it's done for. They say, oh, stay away from that project. Some people were saying that back then, right? But as of right now, it's completely different. People don't care about what happened in the past anymore when it comes to Luna. Some people out there just treat it like a meme or something like that. Some people do treat it like that. And again, it's kind of showcasing that even a big event like that, like the Luna crash, basically, people forgot about it. They're like, okay, whatever, they moved on. Granted, that was years ago, but in the grand scheme of things, the magnitude of MicroStrategy selling a couple millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin, that's like not even 1% of the severity of the Luna situation back then, like the debacle, right? So this is not a big deal, but of course now Bitcoin is below 70 grand because of this. But surprisingly, altcoins are holding up pretty okay. Now, granted, Jasmy's down still around 8% in the past 30 days, but usually if Bitcoin drops that much, we would see like these type of altcoins drop down like 30, 40% maybe or something like that, but we just haven't seen it, which I think may showcase that Jasmy, in some people's eyes, may be already a little bit too low. Some people may be thinking that way. The reason why I say that is because I just don't think it's too far-fetched. If we take a look at Jasmy as of right now at around a $250 million market cap, keep in mind, we're already over 7 times lower than where we were back in December of 2024. So Jasmy's already really low. It's already pretty much at like near historical bottom territories, at least for the past couple of years, right? So again, some people sometimes, they're just like, they just don't want to leave in some cases. Sometimes things go so low that people just don't really want to leave anymore. It's like all the people that wanted to leave already left in some cases. But if something is kind of low, sometimes there's no way to go but back up again. But who knows if that could even happen, and who knows when that will happen. But I'm just saying this, right? For instance, if we take a look at Jasmy back in August of 2025, was that a good time when it comes to altcoins? I don't think so. Really, I just don't. That was not an altcoin season. That was considered kind of a bad time when it comes to Jasmy. But guess what? Jasmy is almost 4 times lower than where it once was in August of 2025. So let's just let that sink in. Even if it just goes back to August of 2025, that movement right there would outperform Bitcoin going back to its all-time high, even though actually August is not the all-time high when it comes to Jasmy. Now, why do I say that? Well, it's because if we think about it logically, Bitcoin going back to its all-time high, that is not even a 2x. That's just not. But Jasmy going back to August of 2025, it's almost 4 times lower than that. That's just from what I can see when it comes to the charts. This is not according to me. This is all data that everyone can see, right? Basically, that's just what I noticed. But I'm not telling anyone to do anything. But that is, again, just what I'm seeing. Now, people like to say, well, who cares about that? Well, I care about it because I like the dip. That's the thing. So if things maybe could recover, then I don't think I would be angry that I cared about the dip, I suppose. But this is not telling anyone to do anything. Again, I'm only dollar cost averaging once every around 30 days. I'll be sure to make more updates moving forward, though, if they do announce something, so hopefully y'all stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching.